Beloved child, be still within and recognize that what is unfolding in you is not a passing wave of emotion, nor merely a surface shift in circumstances. I am leading you into a complete transformation, one that reaches into your very core, where body, mind, and spirit converge and become aligned. The old layers of weariness, of merely striving to get through each day, are quietly falling away. Not because you are weak, but because they no longer belong to the reality I am opening before you. You were not created simply to endure and survive. You are called to live with influence, to carry within you an authority that flows from me, and to walk in a purpose far beyond what your eyes have ever perceived. As it is written in First Epistle of Peter 2:9, you are a chosen generation, called out of darkness into marvelous light, and this is no longer a distant promise, but a position into which you are now being steadily established. Therefore, do not look back on former seasons with suspicion or wounded reflection, as though I had forgotten you in the days when you were pressed through trials. Those periods were not signs of distance, but the pathway through which I was quietly preparing you for what is greater. The moments when you felt shaped, restrained, or led into circumstances you could not fully understand were all part of how I expanded your inner capacity. Like a potter patiently working clay, I have never ceased forming you not to weaken you, but to make you strong enough to carry what I will entrust to you. Remember what is written in Epistle to the Romans 5:3-4. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. Every step you have taken has not been random, but an essential part of the process through which I bring to light what I placed within you from the beginning. Now, as you step out from those days of being refined in the fire, you will begin to perceive that I am no longer shaping you through pain as before. I am moving you into a different phase, one in which everything within you is being ordered with precision and depth. This is no longer a breaking, but an alignment. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions begin to come into harmony with my will, like streams redirected into their rightful course. And within that alignment, you will see that the light does not merely appear and fade, but grows steadily within you. As written in Book of Proverbs 4:18, the path of the righteous shines brighter and brighter until the full light of day. You are no longer walking in a dim glow. You are advancing into increasing radiance and fullness. Let me tell you of one who walked a similar path, in a way that you may recognize yourself within it. Do you remember Joshua, the one who succeeded Moses when he stood before the people? He was not a man untouched by trial. He had walked through the wilderness, witnessed the doubts of the people, and carried the weight of following a great leader. Yet when the time came for him to rise, I did not require him to become someone else. I simply spoke. As recorded in Book of Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. What I did was not to immediately change his circumstances, but to establish within him a new awareness of who he was, that he was no longer merely a follower, but one entrusted with responsibility. And so it is with you. You are no longer standing in the place of one who only observes or waits. You are being called to step into the role of one who carries responsibility and authority. My beloved child, what matters is not whether you feel ready, but whether you recognize who is with you in this journey. When you understand that I am the source of all that you carry, you will no longer be bound by the fear of failure or the sense of insufficiency. You will no longer measure yourself by old standards, for you have been brought into a new level of awareness. As it is written in Book of Zechariah 4:6, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. This is the principle by which your life now operates. What you do will no longer flow from striving, but from union with me. And within that union, you will begin to see your influence extend naturally. You will not need to strive to prove your worth. My presence within you will do that. When you enter a place, you carry peace without needing many words. When you speak, your words carry weight, not because of effort, but because of their source. You no longer live as one merely trying to survive. You live as one sent to bring transformation. As written in Gospel of Matthew 5:14-16, you are the light of the world, and your light is to shine before others. That light is not something you produce. It is something I have placed within you to shine through you. Therefore, do not return to your former mindset, and do not pull yourself back into limitations that once felt familiar. You no longer belong there. I am opening before you a new path, a path where you do not walk for yourself alone, but where you make a way for those who will come after you. What I am doing in you does not end with your own transformation. It will become a source of blessing for many. You are called to carry life, to build, to uphold, and to demonstrate that my power is still at work through those who trust me fully. Keep your heart soft before me, yet stand firm in what I have established within you. Do not be afraid when you sense a strong stirring within, for it is the sign of life growing. I am not leading you into this to confuse you, but to bring you into the fullness I have ordained. And as you continue forward, you will come to see that everything I have begun in you, I will also bring to completion. As it is written in Epistle to the Philippians 1:6, you are not walking alone, nor are you walking without direction. I am with you, guiding you step by step into the reality I prepared for you long before you recognized it. Beloved, before you seek change in your circumstances, recognize that what I am doing begins deep within you. The transformation you are experiencing is not the result of everything around you suddenly becoming easy, but the evidence that your soul has grown enough to carry a higher reality. When one matures, they are no longer driven by the fear of loss or the need to cling tightly to what they have. They step into the life of one who has been entrusted, one who understands that their source is not in what is seen, but in what never runs dry. Therefore, you no longer operate from lack, but from the abundance I have placed within you. As written in Book of Psalms 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And when you truly grasp this, the way you see, the choices you make, and every step you take will be reshaped by that abundance. Therefore, do not confuse a change in circumstances with being elevated. There are those who remain in familiar environments, yet their souls have already moved into another dimension. So it is with you. I do not necessarily need to remove you from where you stand to begin something new. I only need to renew the way you exist within it. When your inner world changes, the world you experience will also shift accordingly. As it is written in Epistle to the Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It is this renewal that becomes the doorway leading you out of a season of mere survival into a season of purposeful living. My child, I know that you once withdrew not because you lacked light, but because you feared that your light would set you apart, cause misunderstanding, or even lead to rejection. You learned to make yourself smaller to fit the frameworks around you, to avoid drawing attention, to keep yourself safe. But I did not create you to live in that contraction. What I have placed within you is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to be revealed at the right time, in the right way, with the right heart. Light is not created to be buried beneath fear. As written in Gospel of Matthew 5:15, no one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. You are that lamp, not for display, but to illuminate. Understand this deeply. The expression I am calling you into is not self-exposure for the sake of recognition, but the unveiling of what I have placed within you for the sake of service. guidance, and opening the way for others. When you live aligned with the identity I have ordained, you do not need to strive to stand out. The light within you will naturally be recognized, like a city set on a hill, as described in Gospel of Matthew 5:14. Your life cannot be hidden when you stand in my truth, no matter how much you might try. Remember the account of Esther, who once concealed her identity within the king's palace. There was a time when her silence protected her, yet when the appointed moment arrived, that same silence became a limitation, and Mordecai spoke to her. As recorded in Book of Esther 4:14, perhaps you have come to royal position for such a time as this. Do you see? There are seasons in which I allow you to remain hidden, to learn and grow in quietness. But there are also seasons in which I call you to step forward, to no longer retreat or shrink back, because what I have placed within you is no longer for you alone. You have been positioned, not by accident, but to become an answer to something greater than yourself. Therefore, beloved, do not return to your former version, the one driven by fear of loss and the need to control everything. You no longer belong there. You have been invited into the life of one who knows they belong to me. And in me, no true lack exists. When you live from abundance, you no longer cling tightly. You can release without fear, give without depletion, and move forward without hesitation. Beloved, pause for a moment and look deeply within yourself. For what I want you to perceive does not lie on the surface of what you see, but in the deeper place where your soul is being transformed. The end of the days when you strained merely to survive does not come because circumstances have become easier, but because you have matured into a different reality, the reality of one who knows they belong to an unending source of life. When you live in fear of loss, you will grasp tightly at everything. But when you recognize me as your source, you will open your hands without trembling. As it is written in Gospel of John 7:38, whoever believes in me, out of their heart will flow rivers of living water, and that very flow is now beginning to move through you, reshaping the way you think, the choices you make, and the way you walk each day. And within that quiet transformation, you will begin to realize that I am no longer teaching you to live from a defensive posture. You are no longer required to weigh every step merely to preserve what you have, but are invited to live as one who has already been given. This is not a beautiful idea for contemplation, but a practical way of living a true shift from lack to abundance. As it is written in Book of Psalms 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And this is not merely a word of comfort, but the very foundation for how you are to function from this point forward. When you believe this, you will no longer make decisions mituk fear, but mituk trust. You will no longer move in order to avoid loss, but in order to express what has already been placed within you. But my child, there is something I want you to face, honestly. You have, at times, made yourself smaller in order to be accepted. You have adjusted your light so as not to make others uncomfortable, not to be misunderstood, to remain within a sense of safety. You thought that shrinking back was wisdom, yet it was only a protective layer formed from past wounds. I do not blame you for this, for I know there were seasons when silence was the only way for you not to break apart. But that season has passed. I am no longer calling you to remain hidden, because what I have placed within you can no longer be concealed. Remember this, as it is written in Gospel of Matthew 5:15, no one lights a lamp and places it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. You are not the source of the light, but you are the vessel through which my light is revealed. That light does not need to strive to be seen. It only needs to be rightly positioned. When you step into the place I have prepared for you, Your presence will naturally become a source of illumination for others. You do not need to fight for recognition. What I have placed within you will testify to its own worth. Let me tell you a story that you may not have seen in this way before. There was a man named Bartimaeus, a blind man who sat by the roadside, accustomed to living on the mercy of others. It was a life of survival, waiting, depending, and limited by circumstance. But when he heard that Jesus Christ was passing by, he cried out loudly, no longer concerned with the opinions or resistance of those around him. And when he was called, the first thing he did was cast aside his cloak, the very garment that represented his former identity as a beggar. Before his sight was restored, he released what had defined his old life. As it is written in Gospel of Mark 10:50, he threw off his cloak, sprang up, and came to Jesus. Do you see? The shift begins within from the decision to no longer hold on to an old identity. Even before circumstances change, you are standing in such a moment now. I am inviting you to lay down the cloak of withdrawal, of fear of rejection, of the habit of diminishing yourself, not because you must prove anything, but because you no longer belong to that reality. When you release it, you will discover that you lose nothing of true value. Rather, you make room for what I have long prepared to be revealed through you. Therefore, beloved, do not return to your former way of living simply because it feels familiar. Do not allow memories of limitation to cause you to doubt what I am doing within you. You are no longer called to live in contraction, but to walk in manifestation, not for your own glory, but so that my light may shine through you. As it is written in Gospel of Matthew 5:16, let your light shine before others, not so that they may see you, but that they may recognize me through you. Walk, therefore, with this steadfast assurance. You no longer live to hold on, but to give. You no longer live mituk lack, but mituk abundance. You no longer move as one afraid of losing, but as one who knows they belong to an inexhaustible source. And as you live in this way, you will begin to see that everything within you, from your thoughts to your actions, starts to reflect a new reality. I am leading you into that place, step by step, not in haste but with certainty. You will not lose your way, for I myself am the one who walks with you, dwells within you, and guides you into the fullness I prepared for you from the beginning. Beloved, listen deeply, for what I am about to speak is not for your ears alone, but for your spirit, the place that is being lifted even when your eyes have not yet seen it fully. Do not think this is merely a gentle change that can be overlooked as before. No. What is taking place is a decisive transformation. A shift so profound that you will not remain the same as you were yesterday. You are being drawn out of the lower realm where you once learned to survive, into a new realm of operation where you no longer react mituk fear, but act mituk the life I have placed within you. As it is written in First Epistle of John 5:4, whoever is born of God overcomes the world, and that victory does not begin outwardly, but from the place where your spirit has been transformed. And within this transformation, you will perceive something further. I am no longer leading you step by step in the same way as before, but bringing you into a commanded shift, a word released from heaven that causes everything within you to realign at once. This is not the gradual process of adjusting small details. It is a repositioning of your entire being. Just as light was called forth from darkness in the beginning, let there be light. And there was light, as recorded in Book of Genesis 1:10. So the word I speak over you carries the same creative authority. When I call you out of the old, that very call contains within it the power for you to stand in the new. Remember the disciples who once withdrew into a closed room out of fear. They did not lack love for me, but they lacked awareness of the power awaiting them. And when the Spirit came upon them, they were no longer the same. They did not learn courage gradually. They were transformed in a moment. As written in Acts of the Apostles 1:8, "You shall receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you." This was not merely a promise, but the birth of a new identity. So it is with you. You are not striving to become strong. You are being made strong from within. This does not arise from your own will, but from my presence actively working within you. But my beloved, understand this. When I lift your spirit, the first thing you may feel is not ease, but a separation from what once felt familiar. Old patterns of thought, old reactions, old limitations, they will no longer fit you. This does not mean you are losing direction. It means you are being repositioned. As it is written in 2nd Epistle to the Corinthians 5:17, "If anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new." You are no longer called to return to what is already past, even if it once felt safe. There is a story you must hold within your heart to understand this clearly. When Peter the Apostle stepped out of the boat to walk upon the water, what changed was not the sea or the wind. Everything around him remained the same. What changed was the call. And when he placed his feet upon the water, he did not walk by his own ability, but by responding to my word. Yet when he fixed his eyes on the wind and waves, he began to sink. Do you see? The new reality is not sustained by what your eyes perceive, but by holding fast to what I have spoken. As recorded in Gospel of Matthew 14:31, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" This was not a rebuke of condemnation, but a reminder that you must choose to trust what your spirit knows to be true over what your eyes can see. Therefore, beloved, do not let your present circumstances become the measure of what I am doing within you. What you see is temporary, but what I am establishing in your spirit is eternal. As written in 2nd Epistle to the Corinthians 4:18, "The things that are seen are temporary, but the things that are unseen are eternal." Learn, then, to walk by inner knowing rather than reacting to outward change. And as you do, you will no longer be shaken by what shifts around you. I am bringing you into a new sphere of influence, where you no longer live as one who avoids or retreats, but as one who stands firm in the authority that has been entrusted. You do not need to manufacture influence. You only need to remain in the place I have positioned you, and influence will naturally flow, like a tree planted by streams of water. It does not strive to bear fruit, but simply abides where it is planted. And as it is written in Book of Psalms 1:3, "Its leaves do not wither, and whatever it does prospers." Take courage, my child. What you are experiencing is not a minor phase to pass through, but a change of season, a true elevation in how you live, how you see, and how you carry yourself. You are no longer who you were, and you do not need to return to seek validation. I have placed you in a new position, and even if your eyes have not yet fully perceived it, that does not make it any less real. Walk as one who has been lifted, trust as one who has been entrusted, and live as one who knows that my power is at work within you, moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step. Beloved, renew the way you see what lies behind you, for your past is not a collection of meaningless fragments scattered through time, but a work I have patiently woven thread by thread. Some threads shine brightly, while others appear dark and without value. Yet it is precisely their interweaving that forms a depth and beauty you could never perceive from a single angle. What caused you pain was not to destroy you, but to expand the capacity of your heart. What made you feel weak was not to keep you in defeat, but to teach you to lean upon me. And the quiet seasons you once called loneliness were the very places where you learned to discern my voice among countless others. As it is written in Epistle to the Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to those who love God. And now you stand at the point where all these things begin to reveal their true meaning. Therefore, do not think that you are returning to a starting line. You are not beginning again. You are continuing from a foundation that has been built in silence across many seasons. What you have lived through has not been lost. It has become the firm ground beneath your steps. As I lead you further, higher, and deeper, I do not ask you to rely on your own strength, but invite you to operate from the stream of life I have placed within you. As it is written in book of Zechariah 4:6, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit you will find that what once lay beyond your ability now becomes natural as you walk in union with me. Listen to me, my beloved, as a master craftsman gently handling a precious instrument. You are no longer an instrument left unattended or producing scattered tones. You are in my hands. And I am tuning every string, every pitch, every vibration that you had not yet recognized. Before, you lived as one, striving to keep rhythm, just to avoid breaking under pressure. Each day, an effort not to lose your way. But now I am bringing you into another harmony where you no longer react to circumstances, but begin to create influence. As it is written in book of Psalms 96:1, sing to the Lord a new song, and that song is not merely words, but your very life transformed and lifted in newness. There is a story you must hold close to understand what I am doing. When David was still a shepherd, he spent long days alone in the fields, playing the harp and singing before me. No one saw him. No one applauded. There was no stage, no audience, only me and him. Yet, in those seemingly quiet years, I was shaping his soul, teaching him to listen, to perceive, to live in the rhythm of my presence. And when the appointed time came, the one who had played in secret entered the king's court, not merely as a musician, but as one who carried a presence capable of dispelling darkness, as recorded in first book of Samuel 16:23. When David played, Saul found relief, and the tormenting spirit departed. Do you see? What I form in the hidden place is never wasted. It is preparation for what will be revealed at the right time. In the same way, you are no longer in a phase of merely learning how to survive. I am bringing you into a place where you begin to create, where you no longer simply preserve yourself, but open the way, no longer only listen, but begin to speak, no longer only receive, but begin to give. This shift is not something you manufacture, but the result of having been formed enough to carry it. As it is written in Gospel of Luke 16:10, whoever is faithful in little is also faithful in much. And the small things you have stewarded are now opening the door to greater things. Therefore, beloved, stand firm in the awareness that you are in my hands, not abandoned, not forgotten, but being refined with precision and love. I am not merely touching the surface of your life. I am working within your deepest structure, where every layer meets, bringing them into harmony with my will. As you allow me to complete this work, you will no longer live in fragmentation, but in wholeness, a life marked by rhythm, flow, and clear purpose. And from that place, you will begin to see what you could not see before, that every step you have taken, every tear you have shed, every moment you thought you were lost, all have been leading you to this point. Not for you to stop, but for you to move forward with a new steadiness. As it is written in book of Proverbs 4:18, the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, shining ever brighter until the full day. And you are now within that very process, not a faint glimmer, but a light growing toward fullness. Let me continue to lead you. My child, do not rush, yet do not hesitate. Walk with the confidence that you are no longer who you once were, and you are not living an old story. I am writing a new song through you, a song shaped by everything you have been through, yet carrying a completely new life. And when you lift your voice through your very life, you will not hear only your own sound, but will recognize that it is I who resound through you within every rhythm, every breath, every step. Beloved, before you step into the full execution of what I have ordained, I do not rush to push you forward, but patiently lead you through a deep process, not to exhaust you, but to refine you with precision in every movement. There are things I am doing within you that cannot take place at the surface, for they involve the deeper structure within, where memories, wounds, and patterns have shaped how you live, even beyond your awareness. I see it all, the hidden weariness, the wounds buried so deeply they seem forgotten, the shadows you thought no one could see, and before me, nothing is concealed, as it is written in Epistle to the Hebrews 4:13. Nothing in all creation is hidden from his sight. And understand this, when I touch those places, I do not come to expose you in shame, but to restore you in love. So do not mistake this process for delay. I am not holding you back because you are insufficient, but because I am making you aligned with what I have prepared. There are doors that, if opened too soon, would become burdens rather than blessings. And I do not release greater things when the inner structure is not yet aligned to carry them. Because I love you, I work at the root, not patching over, not concealing, but healing, restoring, and repositioning. As it is written in Book of Psalms 147:3, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And what I am doing is not merely to make you feel better, but to make you whole. Remember the journey of Elisha as he followed Elijah. He was not placed immediately into a position of great power, nor did he receive the anointing in a single sudden moment. He walked through each stage, from the beginning to moments of testing, each step a choice to remain, each stage a surrender of what was familiar. When asked repeatedly if he would turn back, he chose instead to press forward, because his spirit recognized that something awaited him ahead. And when Elijah was taken up, the mantle did not fall as a random reward, but as the confirmation of a completed process. When Elisha struck the waters and cried, as recorded in 2nd Book of Kings 2:14, "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" The river parted not because the words themselves held power, but because the one who spoke them had been prepared to carry that authority. Do you see? What others call a breakthrough moment is often only the visible surface of a quiet process of realignment that has already taken place. In the same way, what I am doing within you is not a series of minor adjustments, but a comprehensive recalibration so that you may function in true synchronization with me. I am strengthening your body so it can bear pressure without breaking, clarifying your mind so it can discern without confusion, and sharpening your spirit so it can recognize my voice among countless others. But my beloved, that sensitivity does not come from striving harder. It comes from allowing me to renew you from within. As it is written in Epistle to the Romans 12:2, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This is not a general suggestion, but the key that opens the way into a new reality. When your mind is renewed, you will no longer react according to old patterns. When your spirit is awakened, you will no longer depend on outward signs to know where to go. And when your body is strengthened, you will no longer collapse in exhaustion as you walk with me. Hold this truth within you. This process is not a sign that you are being slowed down, but evidence that you are being prepared to go further. One who has not been refined will easily lose alignment when given authority. But one who has been properly aligned will walk with steadiness, unshaken, unmoved by shifting circumstances. I do not merely desire that you move quickly, I desire that you move rightly. Therefore, beloved, trust the process through which I am leading you. Do not rush to escape the places I am touching simply because they require you to face what you once avoided. It is precisely in those places that true freedom is formed. As you allow me to complete this work, you will discover that you no longer walk in uncertainty, but in clarity, no longer pulled backward by the past, but propelled forward by new life. And when you emerge from this process, you will carry not only healing, but precision, a harmony between body, mind, and spirit. Then you will no longer be out of rhythm or misaligned, but will move naturally within my flow, like a river running within its proper course. You will operate according to the design I established within you long before you became aware of it. Be at peace. My child, I do nothing halfway. What I have begun in you, I will complete, not merely to make you better, but to bring you into the fullness of who I created you to be from the beginning. Beloved, begin with your own body, for it carries more impressions than you have yet realized. There have been nights when you could not rest without understanding why. Mornings when you awoke, feeling empty as though your strength had been drained. Fleeting pains that return like a whisper without words. These are not random, nor merely the result of simple fatigue as you once thought. I tell you that your body is responding to the deep movements taking place within your spirit. When your spirit is being lifted, when your inner reality is being restructured, your body cannot remain untouched. It is often the first to feel the tremor, like the ground that shakes before a great structure is raised. Remember Elijah, who once collapsed beneath a solitary tree in the wilderness. It was not merely physical exhaustion, but the response of a man who had just passed through a spiritual encounter beyond ordinary limits. He did not lack faith, yet his body had reached its boundary after a great transition, and I did not rebuke him, but cared for him, giving him rest, giving him nourishment, restoring him before continuing the journey. As it is written in First Book of Kings 19:7, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." Do you see? I do not ignore your body in the spiritual process. I sustain it, nourish it, and lead it to adapt to what is new. Likewise, when Daniel received his vision, his strength left him. As recorded in Book of Daniel 10-8, there remained no strength in him, and his appearance was greatly changed. This was not meaningless weakness, but a sign that the human body cannot immediately bear the intensity of the spiritual realm. Understand this: when your spirit is open to receive deeper things, your body requires time to adjust, to expand its capacity, so that it does not break under the weight of what is greater. Therefore, do not be afraid of what you are feeling. Do not rush to conclude that you are weakening, when in truth, your capacity is being expanded. I will not allow your body to collapse under the pressure of change. I am teaching it to adapt. Every heartbeat, every breath, every current of energy within you is being recalibrated to align with the new environment into which I am leading you. This is not destruction, but expansion, a preparation that enables you to stand where you have never stood before. You will begin to recognize something new. Your strength will no longer come solely from external sources, as it once did. Rest and care will still be necessary. Yet there will be moments when you are sustained from a deeper source, one that does not depend on physical circumstances. As it is written in Book of Isaiah 40:29, He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. And this is not merely symbolic language, but a reality beginning to operate within your very body. You will see that what once drained you gradually loses its hold, not because it disappears entirely, but because you are no longer dependent on it to remain steady. But my beloved, in this process, learn to listen to your body with gentleness, not with judgment. Do not force yourself to function as before, for you are no longer at the same level as before. When you feel the need to rest, rest with trust, not anxiety. When you feel weakness, remember that it is not a sign of failure, but part of your adjustment. I am teaching you to live not by your own strength alone, but through a union of body, mind, and spirit, a balance you have not previously known. Allow me to care for your body as I care for your soul. I neglect no part of you. I do not heal within while ignoring what is without. Every layer of your being is held within my attention. And when this process is complete, you will not only be strong in spirit, but also steady in body, a steadiness not easily shaken by circumstance. Therefore, beloved, be at peace in what you are experiencing. The weariness will not define you. The restless nights will not lead you astray. And the signs you do not yet understand will not bring fear. All of it lies within the process. I am carrying out a process that does not break you, but matures you. And when you pass through this stage, you will realize that your body is no longer merely a place of endurance, but a vessel of life, strengthened to walk in step with your spirit in what I am bringing to completion. Beloved, perceive how I am working within you, not in fragments, not in isolated parts, but as a continuous flow through body, mind, and spirit. When I touch your body and restore it, when I release new strength into the places that once felt depleted, your mind also begins to release the layers of defense built over many seasons. The walls you once constructed for protection, the vigilant thoughts, the reflexes always ready to defend, begin to lose their necessity. And when your mind no longer strains to hold its ground, it enters a stillness you have rarely known. It is within that stillness that your spirit begins to speak clearly, no longer crowded by the noise of anxiety or old memories. As it is written in Book of Psalms 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." And you are being led into that stillness, not emptiness, but a space where I reveal myself. And as your spirit grows strong and full of life, you will discover something remarkable. Your body begins to respond with peace. Not a peace that comes from the absence of problems, but a deep stability within a state in which circumstances no longer dictate your emotions or your energy. As it is written in Epistle to the Philippians 4:7, "The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind." And that guarding does not remain confined to your thoughts, but extends throughout your entire being. Your body, your mind, and your spirit begin to move in one rhythm, a life no longer fragmented, but whole. My beloved, this is what I intended for you from the beginning, a life not divided, not pulled in many directions, but held together in unity. As it is written in First Epistle to the Thessalonians 5:23, "May the God of peace sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless." You no longer need to strive to balance these parts on your own. I am doing this within you. As you allow me to work, everything begins to fall into its rightful place, not forced, not strained, but as naturally as a river finding its course. Therefore, do not return to the old way of living that you once knew, the way of living in delay, where you respond only after things have already unfolded, where you must feel your way forward because you are uncertain of what is coming. I am bringing you out of that state. When the three dimensions within you are aligned, you will no longer live in delay, but in precision. You will begin to perceive before you act, understand before you react, and walk in guidance rather than chase after circumstances. As it is written in Epistle to the Romans 1:17, "The righteous shall live by faith, and that faith is not guesswork, but a confident knowing of what I am doing." Remember the account of Joseph, who did not merely react to what happened around him, but gradually became one who shaped his circumstances. Even while he was in prison, he held no outward authority, yet inwardly he had already been aligned with me. And when the appointed time came, he did not step into leadership as a passive figure, but as one prepared to operate with precision. When he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, he did not only declare what would happen, but also released a strategy for action. As it is written in book of Genesis 41:25, God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do, and Joseph became one who partnered in that unfolding. Do you see? When the inner being is aligned, you are no longer carried by circumstances. You begin to shape them. So it is with you. You are no longer called merely to preserve yourself in the midst of shifting conditions. You are called to release the atmosphere of the kingdom, an atmosphere that does not come from effort, but from my presence within you. When you enter a place, peace will accompany you. When you speak, clarity will be released. When you act, authority will be manifested. As written in Gospel of Matthew 5:13-14. You are the salt of the earth and the light of the world, not a title to carry, but a nature to live from. Therefore, beloved, walk with this awareness. You are no longer defined by what happens around you, but by what I am doing within you. You no longer need to chase after circumstances to adjust yourself. Circumstances will begin to adjust as you stand firm in union with me. This is the shift you are entering, from reaction to leadership, from survival to influence, from fragmentation to wholeness. Remain in this flow and do not return to former habits. Allow me to complete this alignment within you, and you will see that your life is no longer a sequence of scattered reactions, but becomes a living symphony where every part of you moves together to express my presence with clarity, stability, and power. Beloved, receive my word as a firm foundation beneath your steps. You were not created to live in fear, nor called to shrink back within old limitations. What I am placing upon you is not a gentle encouragement, but a declaration of identity and the way you are to function from this point forward. You are called to carry the atmosphere of the kingdom, an atmosphere not dependent on circumstances, yet capable of transforming them. When you enter a place, you do not come as one seeking safety, but as one who carries presence. As it is written in First Epistle to the Corinthians 4:20, the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power, and that power is not for display, but to release life into places that have grown dry. Therefore, do not withhold what I have placed within you. You are not called to store strength like one afraid of depletion, but to become a source of renewal to your surroundings. When you live in union with me, you will discover that the more you give, the more you are filled. As it is written in book of Proverbs 11:25, the one who refreshes others will themselves be refreshed. This is not merely a moral principle, but the way my flow operates. You no longer live to protect a small portion of yourself, but to expand and allow life to move through you. Understand this clearly. My beloved, you are not sent merely to endure the fluctuations of life. You are sent with purpose to shape, to open the way, to bring transformation. When you walk in this awareness, you will no longer act matuk fear-driven reaction, but matuk intentional guidance. As it is written in book of Psalms 27:1, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? And as you hold firmly to this truth, fear will no longer have a place to govern you, and there will come a moment not in imagination, but in the reality you experience when you will realize that you have changed. The trembling that once felt familiar will no longer be your natural response. In its place, a steadiness will rise from within, without effort or strain. This is the state of one who stands upon a foundation that has already been established. As it is written in Book of Psalms 18:33, He makes your feet like the feet of a deer and sets you upon high places. And from that position you will no longer view life through the narrow perspective you once held. Your mind will no longer remain confined within old patterns. The lenses that once caused you to misunderstand, misjudge, and misstep will gradually lose their power. In their place, you will begin to think with clarity and discernment that flows from me. As it is written in First Epistle to the Corinthians 2:16, you have the mind of Christ, and this is not a distant concept, but a reality you are being brought into. As your mind is renewed, your actions will also change, not driven by fear or pressure, but led by authority. Remember Joshua when he stood before the Jordan, facing a boundary that the previous generation had not crossed. The river still flowed strongly, and the circumstances were not favorable. Yet he did not wait for the waters to part before stepping forward. When the feet of the priests touched the water, the flow was stopped. As recorded in Book of Joshua 3:15-16, the waters ceased only when they stepped in. Do you see? Steadiness does not come from changed circumstances, but from walking in certainty of what I have spoken. And when you step, reality itself begins to respond. So it is with you. You are no longer the one striving to improve little by little. You have been repositioned to live in another reality where body, mind, and spirit no longer conflict, but move in harmony. When these three are aligned, you do not struggle to become strong, you simply are strong. You do not strive to shine, you simply shine. As it is written in Gospel of Matthew 5:14, you are the light of the world, not something you must achieve, but something you already are as you abide in me. Therefore, beloved, step into this without hesitation. Do not return to former ways of living simply because they are familiar. Do not allow the memory of fear to pull you back into what you have already left behind. You no longer belong to that reality. I am leading you into a place where you do not merely live, but shape, not merely receive, but become a source of life. Walk with this awareness. You do not walk alone, and you do not walk in uncertainty. I am within you, working through you, and leading you into what I have prepared from the beginning. And as you continue forward, you will see that your life is no longer a series of days spent holding on, but becomes a flow of life, of light, and of authority that reaches many people, many places, and many generations. Beloved, receive this as a new establishment within you. You no longer live by the breath of striving, where every step is an effort to keep yourself from falling. I am placing within you another breath, the breath of one who is sent, one who knows they do not go on their own, but are commissioned with clear purpose. When I breathed into humanity in the beginning, it was not merely life, but life with direction and meaning, as it is written in Book of Psalms 104:30. When you send forth your spirit, they are created, and that same breath is now renewing you, not just to sustain you, but to bring you into the fulfillment of what I have ordained. Every word you speak, every step you take, every way you carry yourself is being reshaped by the life flowing within you. And you will come to understand that this shift does not arrive with noise or dramatic upheaval. It does not require spectacle to prove itself. It comes like the morning light, spreading across the mountain, gentle, yet unstoppable. You will not have to struggle to push back the darkness. You will see darkness withdraw as light increases. What once caused hesitation What once held you back will gradually lose its power, not because you force yourself to be strong, but because something within you has changed. As it is written in Gospel of John 1:5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, and that light is not outside of you, but is being ignited and expanded from within you. My child, what you carry now is no longer a reaction to circumstances, but a presence that has the capacity to shape them. You no longer wait for everything to become stable before you move. Your very movement releases stability. You no longer depend on favorable conditions to act. Your presence itself creates the conditions for change. Like living water flowing from a hidden source, you carry an atmosphere that begins to touch, align, and open whatever place you enter. Remember Peter the Apostle when he stood at the beautiful gate. He was no longer the one who had denied me in fear. He had become one who understood what he carried within. When the lame man asked for money, he did not focus on what he lacked, but on what had been given. As it is written in Acts of the Apostles 3:6, "What I have, I give to you." This was not a spontaneous statement, but a clear awareness of the source from which he operated. And when he spoke, action followed. When he extended his hand, life was imparted. When he stepped forward, a new reality was opened. So it is with you. You no longer stand outside searching for opportunity. You no longer need to ask when you will be used. I tell you plainly, you are already in the season where your steps themselves open doors. What you carry does not wait for permission from circumstances. It creates the space in which it can be expressed. When you enter a place, you do not come to seek a position. You come as one who carries life capable of transforming that place. But my beloved, understand this clearly. This is not pride, nor is it placing yourself above others. This is true humility, the humility of one who knows that the source is not within themselves, but within me. When you know where you receive from, you will not fear depletion. When you know what you carry, you will not hesitate to give. As it is written in Gospel of John 7:38, "Whoever believes in me, out of their heart will flow rivers of living water," and that flow is not limited by circumstances, because it does not originate from them. Therefore, beloved, walk in this awareness without hesitation. Do not return to the posture of one who waits or hesitates. You are no longer standing outside a door, knocking and hoping it will open. You are the one who carries the key, not because you created it, but because I have entrusted it to you through my presence within you. When you step, doors will open. When you speak, release will come. When you are present, environments will shift. Let my breath within you guide every rhythm of your life. Do not strive to hold yourself steady. Allow me to establish that steadiness within you, and you will see that you no longer walk as one trying merely to survive, but as one who executes, one who is sent, empowered, and guided step by step by me. Beloved, rise in this new awareness, for you are no longer called to live each day simply trying to endure what comes. You no longer measure your worth by whether you feel okay today, for that is no longer your standard. I am bringing you out of that passive way of living and placing you into the position of one who influences, one who carries life into dry places, brings order into chaos, and opens paths where no footsteps have gone before. As it is written in book of Isaiah 45:2, "I will go before you and level the rough places, and you do not walk in isolation or uncertainty. I go before you. I prepare the way, and you follow in confidence. Therefore, do not see yourself through the old lens any longer, the lens of one defined by circumstances, shaped by environment, and controlled internally by what happens externally. You are no longer that person. You are one who carries the atmosphere of the kingdom, And that atmosphere does not come from effort, but from my presence within you. When you enter a place, you do not merely arrive, you establish something. Peace begins to spread, clarity begins to form, and what was once disordered gradually comes into alignment, not because you strive to make it so, but because what you carry has that very nature. When you speak, you are no longer releasing mere sound. Your words become instruments of release, releasing life, releasing truth, releasing what I have already placed within you. As it is written in book of Isaiah 55:11, the word that proceeds from my mouth will not return empty. And when you speak in union with me, your words carry that same flow. They do not only reach the ears of others, but touch the reality around them, opening what has been closed, awakening what has been dormant, and laying foundations for what has not yet existed. And when you act, you no longer react to circumstances as before. You do not wait for conditions to become favorable, you move, and circumstances begin to shift. You are no longer carried along by what happens, you become one who directs its course. This does not come from your own strength, but from the authority I have placed within you, an authority quiet yet firm, requiring no proof, yet impossible to deny. As it is written in Epistle to the Romans 14:17, the kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. And wherever you step, these realities begin to manifest. Remember how John the Baptist appeared in the wilderness without status, without institutional backing, yet carrying an atmosphere that stirred an entire nation. He did not strive to create influence. He carried influence. And when he spoke, it was not because his voice was louder, but because he spoke from a place positioned in me. As it is written in Gospel of Matthew 3:3, a voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. Do you see? There are those who do not merely live within the world, but open pathways for what comes from heaven. You are being called into that same reality. Therefore, beloved, move forward without looking back. Do not allow old memories to pull you into what you have already left behind. Do not diminish yourself because of the familiarity of the past. You are no longer the one who avoids, restrains, or hesitates. You are one who is sent, one who knows where you come from, to whom you belong, and what you carry. When you know that I am your source, you will not fear depletion. When you know that you are sent, you will not doubt your steps. Go, my child, with a steadiness that does not need display, with authority that does not require proof, with light that does not struggle to shine. You will see that every place your feet touch will not remain the same, not because you strive to change it, but because you carry my presence, and where that presence is, life is released, order is established, and pathways are opened. This is how you will live from this point forward, not as one who merely exists, but as one who shapes, not as one who waits, but as one who opens the way, not as one who only receives, but as a continual flow pouring out. And in all of this, I am with you, going before you, dwelling within you, and working through you so that your life becomes a living testimony that my kingdom is not only words, but a reality made manifest through those who walk in me. Beloved, step toward the door opening before you with a settled awareness, not the hesitation of one uncertain, but the decisive movement of one who has been prepared. This is not a symbolic image for reflection, but a reality. You are entering a point of transition where your body has been strengthened, your mind renewed, and your spirit filled with life from me. I do not want you to leave this moment carrying only a passing feeling, for emotions rise and fade. I want you to move forward with a position established deep within you, a foundation unmoved by circumstance or sensation. As it is written in Epistle to the Ephesians 6:14, stand firm, having girded your waist with truth. And that firmness is being formed within you as a state of being, not a strain of effort. Understand this. Your steps from this point forward are no longer exploratory or uncertain. You are not advancing to see what might happen. You are stepping because you know what has already been established. What I have done within you is not a temporary preparation, but an activation that cannot be reversed. There were doors you once stood before and could not enter, not because they were not meant for you, but because you were not yet positioned to pass through them. Now that position has been formed. You no longer need to strive to become ready. You are ready. My beloved, remember that the newness I give you is not something waiting ahead of you. It is already operating within you now. As it is written in 2nd Epistle to the Corinthians 5:17, if anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. This is not a promise reserved for a distant time. It is your present reality. You are not the old self attempting to change, but the one who has already been changed and is learning to live in that truth. Therefore, do not return to former paths, not only because they no longer fit, but because you no longer belong to them. Old patterns of thought, old reactions, old limitations may attempt to call you back, but they no longer hold authority over you. You do not need to struggle to prove that you have changed. You need only stand in what I have done. When you stand in truth, truth itself sustains you. When you walk in what I have established, you will not need to strain to hold your position. Step through this door as one who knows where they belong, not with noise, not with the need to prove, but with a quiet certainty within. Just as Abraham left what was familiar without knowing every detail ahead, yet knew the one who led him. As it is written in Epistle to the Hebrews 11:8, he went out not knowing where he was going, not because he lacked direction, but because he trusted the one guiding him. So it is with you. You do not need to see the entire path in order to step. You only need to recognize that I am before you. And as you step, you will find that this door does not lead into uncertainty, but into greater clarity. What once caused hesitation will no longer hold you back. What once stirred doubt will no longer slow your movement. Instead, a new current will carry you, a current of conviction, of peace, and of authority guiding you forward. Beloved, this is not a call for you to strive harder. It is an invitation for you to live differently. Walk as one who has been established. Think as one who has been renewed. Act as one who has been entrusted with authority. And in all things, remember this: you do not walk alone. I go before you to prepare the way. I am within you to guide you, and I am over you to affirm you. Go, my child. Do not turn back. Do not hesitate. Do not diminish yourself. You have been placed into a new reality, and from that place, your life will no longer be a sequence of uncertain steps, but a journey marked by life, by light, and by my presence at work through you. Beloved, open your heart to perceive what I am revealing, something far beyond what you have ever thought about yourself. I am not working only within the boundaries of your personal life. I am positioning you at a point where time and purpose intersect. What you are experiencing is no longer merely your own journey of healing or growth. I am establishing you as a point of origin, a place from which a new flow begins to emerge. What I am doing in you today is not confined to the present moment. It stretches into the years ahead, touching lives you have never known and opening paths for steps you have never seen. As it is written in Book of Genesis 17:5, I have made you a father of many nations. Abraham did not walk to seek a legacy, but the legacy was formed as he trusted and obeyed. So it is with you. You do not need to create lasting influence. You need only walk in obedience. And that influence will extend beyond your life. Recognize this. My beloved, what you have overcome in secret is not small. As you once thought, the chains you have broken in hidden places have not only freed you, but have cut off their hold over those who will come after you. The battles you have endured, the moments you chose to stand when no one saw, are becoming the foundation upon which others will walk without paying the same cost. Just as the people of Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground because the waters had already been held back, so you are preparing a way in ways you may not yet fully see. As it is written in Book of Deuteronomy 30:19, choose life, that you and your descendants may live. This is not only a personal call, but a generational principle. Your choices today echo into the future of many. You are not merely changing your own life, you are intervening in the flow of a spiritual lineage. This is not said to make you feel elevated, but to establish truth. I have often used one person to open a way for many. When one responds to me, the movement does not remain contained within that person. Remember Joseph. He was not only lifted from confinement, but became a preserver of life for his family and for many nations in a time of scarcity. As it is written in Book of Genesis 45:5, God sent me ahead of you to preserve life. What he endured, misunderstanding, betrayal, forgetfulness were not isolated events, but a process that positioned him for a role far greater than himself. So it is with you. You are being placed into a role whose impact extends beyond your present vision. You may not yet see it fully. You may not yet understand it completely, but that does not make it any less real. There are seeds I am sowing through you, whose full harvest you may not witness. Yet this does not diminish your work. It reveals that you are participating in something greater than yourself. Hold this within you. I do not require you to carry the entire picture. I ask you to be faithful with what I place before you. When you are faithful in the present step, I will open the next. When you obey in the small, I will entrust you with more. As it is written in Gospel of Luke 16:10, whoever is faithful in little is also faithful in much. You do not need to see the entire journey in order to walk. You need only trust that I am leading you. Beloved, what I am doing through you does not announce itself with the noise the world seeks for recognition. Yet it carries a weight that cannot be denied. It flows like an underground current, quiet yet powerful, unseen yet shaping. And in time, what I have begun through you will be clearly revealed through the lives of others, through paths that are opened, through barriers that no longer stand. Therefore, do not diminish yourself simply because you have not yet seen the fullness of what is ahead. Do not question the value of what I have done within you just because it has not been widely revealed. You are not living to be seen. You are living to be used. And when you are used in my hands, the outcome will exceed anything you could produce on your own. Walk with this awareness. My child, you are not merely one who receives transformation, but one who carries it. You are not only one who has been healed, but one who opens the way for healing. You are not only one who has been lifted, but one who establishes a foundation upon which others can stand. And in all of this, I am with you not as one who merely observes, but as one who actively works. I go before you to prepare the way. I dwell within you to guide you, and I work through you to accomplish what I have ordained. As you continue to move forward, you will see that your life no longer holds meaning for you alone, but becomes a flowing current of life, reaching generations, touching lives, and extending into places you have never imagined. My beloved child, listen to this with the full stillness of your soul. What I have sown within you has never lost its life, even through seasons when you thought it had grown silent, hidden, or covered by the dust of time. The seed I placed in your heart is not like the quickly fading flame of human emotion. It carries the breath of heaven. And therefore, even when buried deep beneath seasons of waiting, it still holds the full power to sprout at the appointed time. You have asked in silence why certain promises seem delayed, why certain doors you believed should open still remain closed, and why certain things within you feel so real, yet have not been revealed outwardly. But I speak to you now, silence is not the end, and waiting is not rejection. As it is written, to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven, Ecclesiastes 3:1. So what I have placed within you does not move, according to the impatience of the flesh, but according to the eternal rhythm of my wisdom. There are things I did not open too soon, not because I wanted to withhold blessing from you, but because I was preserving you from carrying something holy with a heart not yet steady enough to bear it. If a vessel is still being shaped on the wheel and precious oil is poured into it too early, it may crack beneath the weight of what was meant to become an honor. Therefore, I slowed things in ways you did not understand, so that your inner being could be strengthened, so that weak places could be healed, so that old reactions could be replaced with peace, and so that you would no longer receive the promise like someone afraid to lose it, but like someone who knows they have been prepared by me to step into it. You are not merely standing before a door. You are being transformed into the kind of person who can pass through that door without losing your identity. New wine must be put into new wineskins, Luke 5:38. And I am making a new wineskin within you, so that the new thing I give will not break you, but remain within you with lasting strength. Therefore, do not be quick to look outward for evidence of what I am doing within. The greatest sign is not always a loud event, a confirmation from someone else, or an immediate change in your circumstances. Many times, the deepest sign is that you no longer react as you once did, no longer fear as you once feared, and no longer need to chase after the things that once unsettled your heart. When I reshape your soul, I do not begin at the surface, I go down to the roots. I change the way you see, the way you wait, the way you believe, and the way you stand firm in the quiet spaces. You will realize that you are no longer merely someone counting the days until the promise is fulfilled. You are becoming a place where the promise can dwell. And when you become a person with spiritual capacity, what I have spoken will no longer feel far away, but will become a reality drawing near in my order. Remember Joseph, my beloved child. When I gave him dreams in his youth, he did not yet understand the weight of what he had seen. He saw sheaves bowing down. He saw the sun, the moon, and the stars submitting, but he did not yet know that the path to a high throne would pass through a pit, a slave's house, and a prison. If I had brought him straight into the palace while his soul was still immature, he might have used authority to prove himself instead of using authority to save many peoples from famine. But in the place where he was forgotten, I taught him to discern the difference between a dream that came from me and ambition that rises from the human heart. In the dungeon, I trained him in humility. Through betrayal, I cleansed his heart from bitterness. Then, on the exact day, not one beat too early and not one breath too late, I brought him before Pharaoh. And when that hour came, what had been placed within him since his youth had not diminished. It was activated within a man who had been made mature. As Joseph later said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. So you too will understand that the seasons which seemed like delay were quietly serving my redemptive plan. Therefore, do not look upon the years you have passed through as meaningless emptiness. There is no season I allow that I cannot use to weave purpose. On the days when you thought you were standing still, I was rebuilding the foundation. In the times when you had to remain silent, I was refining your voice. In the moments when you were not recognized, I was freeing you from dependence on applause. Closed doors are not always opposition. Sometimes they are my mercy. Because I know what would turn you away from the straight path before you are wise enough to recognize it. The Lord will perfect that which concerns me, Psalm 138:8. So you do not need to force what I am completing by my mighty hand. A new order is being established within you, and that order is not like the way you once lived. Before, perhaps you walked by guessing, by anxiety, by the fear of missing something good. But now, I am teaching you to walk in discernment. You no longer need to return to the old garment simply because it is familiar. Familiarity is not always safety. Sometimes it is only a prison decorated with memories. Do not return to old patterns of thinking simply because you have not yet seen the whole picture. Do not shrink your soul to fit the places I have called you out of. When the people of Israel stood before the Red Sea, they were afraid and remembered Egypt. But I did not open the sea so they could return to chains. I opened the sea so they could move forward into freedom. As it is written, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, Exodus 14:13. There are moments when you do not need to panic and search for a way out, but need to stand firm in the faith that I know how to part the waters before you. The movement of heaven is often not as loud as you imagine, but it is more precise than every plan of man. I do not need to create great noise to prove that I am working. A seed breaking open beneath the soil makes no echo, yet an entire forest can begin from that quiet breaking. Dawn does not shout when it arrives, yet darkness must still retreat. My grace is the same, gentle but not weak, quiet but not powerless, timely and never late. When I move, chains break at the right place, doors open at the right hour, the right people meet you at the right time, and what once felt blocked begins to shift in ways you could never arrange by yourself. So then, my child, stop doubting simply because everything has not yet appeared in full. The one who is being led does not need to see the entire road before daring to take a step. That one only needs to know whose hand is holding them. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. And that lamp often shines just enough for the next step, not to satisfy all your curiosity, but to teach you trust one movement at a time. I do not lead sound into uncertainty in order to make you lose your way. I lead you out of old control so you may learn to live in surrender. When you no longer demand to see everything before you believe, your heart will become spacious. When you no longer need to hold tightly to every answer, your hands will be empty enough to receive what I give. Let this word be anchored firmly within you. What I have placed in you is still alive. It has not been weakened by the years, ruined by disappointment, or made powerless by delay. I am simply bringing it into the right season, the right form, and the right purpose, through a person whom I have made more mature. You do not have to return to your old self in order to feel safe. You do not have to ask fear for permission to move forward. You do not have to wait for everyone to understand before you believe what I am doing. I am leading you into a new order, where your soul stands upright, your mind becomes clear, and your heart remains tender without being shaken. And when my hour comes, you will know everything quiet had meaning. Every silent space was filled with preparation, and every promise I placed within you will rise not in haste, but in the glory of my appointed time. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life when everything seems so still that it almost feels as though nothing is happening at all. Yet it is precisely within that stillness that I am doing a work deeper than your eyes can see. The surface may not have changed. The door may not have opened. The invitation may not have come, and the result may not yet have appeared. But within you, every layer of awareness, every motive, every fear, and every way you see yourself is being reordered by my hand. Do not be quick to call that season abandonment. Do not be quick to see it as meaningless emptiness. Sometimes it is the very place where I hide you under the shadow of my wings, so that what is still tender within you will not be broken by the winds of life, and what is precious within you may grow under protection. As it is written, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Psalm 91:1. The secret place is not a place of exclusion, but a place where the soul is covered so it may mature. I know there are times when you look around and see others who seem to have gone farther. They appear to have a clearer testimony, more visible fruit, a more recognized position, while you feel as though you are still standing at a long threshold, walking without yet seeing yourself arrive. But my child, do not let what is visible in someone else's life become the measure of the value of the process I am working in you. You only see the top of the tree. You do not see the roots that have pushed through many layers of soil. You only see the fruit in the season of harvest. You do not see the days when the seed lay in darkness, breaking open quietly, enduring the pressure of the earth without anyone offering praise. The Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. Therefore, what I measure in you is not only what you have achieved, but who you have become while no one was watching. Some people are raised up quickly, but their foundation is not yet deep enough. One strong wind is enough to make their hearts waver. Some are brought into the light early, but they have not yet learned how to guard themselves from pride. So, the light that was meant to guide the way becomes heat that dries up the inner life. As for you, if I have allowed your process to move more slowly than you desired, it is not because I lack power, nor because you are of lesser value. I am sending your roots deeper. I am teaching you to bear the weight of what you once prayed for. For blessing must not only be received, blessing must also be preserved by a soul trained in humility, discernment, and endurance. As I have spoken, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. Matthew 7:24. A house built on rock is not raised as hastily as a house built on sand. But when the rain descends, the floods come, and the winds blow, it remains standing. Remember, David, my beloved child, when Samuel came to the house of Jesse to anoint the future king, David was not present among those brought before the prophet's eyes. He was still out in the field, among the sheep, where there was no throne, no royal garment, and no sound of applause. Yet it was in that unnoticed place that I deepened within him a heart that knew how to worship, how to protect, and how to fight lions and bears before facing Goliath. If David had been brought straight to the throne without first learning to guard the flock, he would not have understood the heart of one who shepherds a people. But because he was formed in the hidden place, when the time came, the anointing oil did not seek the one who looked strongest outwardly. It found the one I had prepared in secret. Do you see? The wilderness season did not cancel the throne. The wilderness season prepared the soul so it would not be swallowed by the throne. Therefore, when everything around you has not yet opened in the way you expected, do not be quick to conclude that you are being left behind. It may be that you are in a season of foundation building, where I am teaching you not only to desire great things, but also to become steady enough to carry those great things without losing purity. I am training you in the ability to be responsible with blessing, with influence, with words, with choices, and with the doors that will one day open. You have prayed for expansion, but expansion always requires capacity. You have prayed to step into the new, but the new requires a heart that is no longer governed by the old. Therefore, I am adjusting what is within you before I place greater weight upon your life. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. So the small things you are learning today are not small in my eyes. They are the training ground for something greater tomorrow. There are lessons that can only emerge in slowness. There are layers of peace that are only born when you can no longer control the pace. There are kinds of strength that only take shape when you keep walking, even when no one applauds. If everything came too quickly, you might begin to think that your worth is found in the outcome. But when I allow you to pass through a season where nothing is yet visible, I am teaching you to know that your worth is found in me. When you still pray even without seeing a sign, still live uprightly even without being recognized, still keep your heart tender even when misunderstood, and still choose trust even when the road is unclear, something within you is being built with an endurance that outward success cannot create on its own. As it is written, the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, James 1:3-4, so that you may become complete, lacking nothing in the hidden depths of your soul. My beloved child, I do not want you to live by comparison, because comparison blinds you to the particular grace I have given you. Each person has a different structure being built, a different journey being led, and a different capacity being prepared. Some seeds grow quickly into grass, but others grow quietly into ancient trees. Do not despise the time I use to deepen your roots. Do not be discouraged because what you are learning does not yet appear glorious. One day, those very hidden lessons will keep you when great winds begin to blow. The patience of today will become the wisdom of tomorrow. The times you did not give up in silence will become authority in the words you speak later. So let your heart be at rest. The hidden season is not a useless season. The waiting season is not a failed season. The season of being unseen is not proof that I am not seeing you. I see every tear you swallowed back within yourself. I see every right choice you made when no one knew. I see every time you lifted yourself up again in order to keep walking by faith. And I speak to you now, none of it is wasted. I am using all of it to make you deeper, steadier, brighter, more tender, and more able to carry what I have appointed for you. Keep moving forward without resenting your own pace. Trust that what is built deeply is often not loud, but it endures. Let me complete the work within before you demand to see an opening without. For when the appointed time comes, what I give will not overwhelm you to the point that you lose yourself. It will meet a soul that has been prepared, a heart that has been refined, and a person who knows how to bow before me, even while standing in a spacious place. And then you will understand that you were never standing still. You are only being built by me in the deep places, where human eyes could not see, but heaven had already taken notice. My beloved child, let your heart become still like a lake gently touched by the wind of heaven. For I want you to understand that not every holy thing comes with thunder, and not every deep work appears through signs that are clear before your eyes. There are paths I allow you to walk that seem covered in silence, where you pray and feel as though your words dissolve into emptiness, where you knock and hear only the echo of your own longing within, where you try to hold on to faith while your circumstances have not yet opened even the smallest ray of light. But my child, do not misunderstand that quietness as my absence. Many times, when you cannot hear my voice clearly, my hand is working most deeply in layers your eyes cannot see. Just as Elijah learned that the Lord was not only present in the great wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a still small voice, 1 Kings 19:12. You too must learn to recognize me in subtlety, in the slower rhythm, and in the days that are not loud, yet are filled with holy preparation. I have seen you through the long nights when your heart was weary, yet your mouth still whispered prayer. I have seen the times you wiped away your own tears and kept walking, not because you did not hurt, but because there was still a small light within you that believed I had not released your hand. You thought those moments were small, but in my eyes, they carried great weight. Every time you chose to stand firm when no one encouraged you. Every time you kept your heart pure when no one witnessed it. Every time you continued to do what was right, though you had not yet seen the result. I took notice. You number my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? Psalm 56:8. Not one of your tears falls to the ground forgotten. Not one of your sighs passes through the night without touching my mercy. What you call hidden, I call evidence of a soul being refined in the fire and still not losing its fragrance. Therefore, do not be quick to judge your hidden season by the emptiness of its outward appearance. A field in the season of sowing does not look like a field in the season of harvest, but that does not mean it is useless. A seed beneath the soil is unseen, unpraised, and unnamed by anyone. Yet it is there in the darkness that it breaks open, takes root, and begins to live. If it demanded to rise too early, it would not yet have the strength to stand before the sun and wind. You are the same. There are things I have not yet allowed to be revealed, not because I have rejected you, but because I am protecting the process being formed within you. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. What is beautiful is not only what is given, but what is given at the right time, in the right way, and according to the true capacity of your soul. I know there have been times when you wondered why others seemed to have their way open more quickly, while you were kept in a long and unnamed season. But my beloved, I do not measure your journey by the speed of someone else. I do not shape every vessel according to the same mold, nor do I refine every heart with the same flame. Some are lifted early, but do not yet have enough root to withstand strong winds. Some step quickly into the light, but that very light exposes the places within them that have not yet been healed. As for you, when I allow you to wait, I am not impoverishing your life, I am deepening your soul. I am teaching you not only to receive blessing, but to carry blessing without pride, to guard what I entrust to you without fear, and to step into a spacious place while still bowing before the one who opened the way for you. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. So the small days of today are the very place where I am training you for the great things of tomorrow. Remember Moses, my child, before he stood before Pharaoh, before he lifted his staff over the Red Sea, before he led an entire nation out of chains. He passed through 40 years in the wilderness of Midian, shepherding sheep through days no one would have called glorious. The one who had grown up in a palace had to learn humility in the dust. The one who once tried to confront injustice by his own strength had to learn to wait for my appointed time. If I had called him too early, the impatience within him could have damaged the mission. But when the bush burned without being consumed, it was not a random beginning. It was the moment I awakened what had been prepared through many silent years. When I said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people. I have heard their cry. Exodus 3:7. Moses understood that I had never been silent because I was indifferent. I was silent because I was preparing both the one who would be sent and the time of deliverance. Do you see? I do not only prepare the door, I prepare the one who will walk through that door. I do not only arrange the blessing, I enlarge what is within you, so that the blessing will not become a burden that breaks you. There are things you ask for that, if I had given them to you at that moment, you might have confused grace with recognition, or mistaken the gift for your identity. Therefore, I withheld not to wound you, but to ripen you. I delayed not to deny you, but to purify your motives. I sheltered you from being seen too soon, not because you were unworthy of being seen, but because what is precious within you needed to grow in the hidden place before standing amid the winds of life. Just as a potter does not hurry to remove a vessel from the fire before the clay has become firm enough, I do not take you out of the process before your soul is strong enough to carry its new form. Therefore, do not resent the doors that have not yet opened. Some closed doors are protection. Some unanswered prayers are mercy. Some slowness is the way I keep you from entering a place that the tender places within you are not yet ready to endure. You see only the delay, but I see what is being kept from you and what is being built within you. You count the days, but I measure maturity. You long for the outcome, but I tend the roots. If the roots are deep enough, the tree will not fear a dry season. If the foundation is firm enough, the house will not collapse when the rain descends. The floods come, and the winds blow, as my Son has spoken. The one who hears and does my words is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. Matthew 7:24-25. And my beloved, I am placing you upon the rock, not upon passing emotions or the fragile approval of human beings. Let this comfort you. There is no season you pass through that I cannot turn into a foundation. The months when you thought you were hidden taught you to seek me more than applause. The nights when you thought you were alone made your prayers more real, deeper, and less performative. The times when you had nothing outward to display helped you understand that your worth is not found in achievement, but in the fact that you belong to me. And when a soul knows it belongs to me, it is no longer easily shaken by being seen or unseen, named or unnamed, given an open path or asked to wait a little longer. So be at peace, my child. The quietness is not proof that I have departed. The silence is not a sign that heaven is closed. The hidden season is not a sentence over your destiny, but may be the holy chamber where I am making you deeper, softer, brighter, and steadier. Do not rush what I am ripening. Do not pull yourself out of the craftsman's hand simply because you have not yet seen the final shape. Let me complete the work I have begun. For he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. When the right time comes, you will not step out like someone forgotten and suddenly remembered, but like one who has been prepared in the secret place, carrying within you the endurance of faith, the purity of trust, and the peace of one who knows that every tear, every day of waiting, and every silent space has been kept by me, sanctified by me, and woven into the glory I am bringing you into. My beloved child, do not bow your head because of the seasons of your life that passed without being named, recognized, applauded, or noticed by anyone who stopped to see your quiet faithfulness. Do not let your heart feel ashamed simply because your journey has not yet been placed under the light of human attention. The noise of the crowd is not heaven's scale, and the praise of people is not the final proof of a soul's worth. I do not measure you by outward brilliance, nor do I value you by how many people know your name, nor do I judge your depth by what natural eyes can see. I look into the secret place, where there is no audience, where you have nothing left to perform, where the truth of your heart appears before me like a small but steady lamp in the night. It is there that I know who you are becoming. It is there that I hear the sound of your faith, even when your lips form no words. As it is written, your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Matthew 6:6. So remember that my reward is not only an open door before your eyes, but also a soul enlarged within, a heart made tender, and a faith refined until it no longer depends on applause. I am not looking for an outward shine in you that is bright but shallow. I am not raising you up to become a vessel, beautifully decorated yet fragile when struck. I am building within you a holy inner strength, an endurance born from communion with me, a steadiness that does not need to display itself, yet cannot be shaken. There are seasons when I allow you to remain in the hidden place, not because you have been excluded from my plan, but because I am protecting the precious thing being formed within you from haste, from pride, from fear, and from pressures you do not yet need to carry. You thought you were being held back, but in truth, you are being ripened in the hands of the one who knows which season is for sowing, which season is for watering, which season is for pruning, and which season is for revealing. He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. And my timing does not come to satisfy your impatience, but to complete what is most beautiful within you. Therefore, do not despise the small things you have done in silence. A word of forgiveness you chose to give while your heart was still hurting is not small before me. A time when you remained silent so you would not sow more bitterness, even though you had every reason to answer back, was not overlooked by me. A day when you still knelt in prayer though your circumstances had not yet changed. A moment when you chose integrity though no one praised you. An instant when you refused the easier path in order to keep your heart pure. All of these rise before me like the fragrance of an offering that pleases me. As it is written, let my prayer be set before you as incense. Psalm 141:2. Know that it is not only the prayer of your lips that rises before me, your quiet obedience, and the unseen victories within your heart also become a holy fragrance. Remember Ruth, my beloved child. She did not step into the story of redemption with a trumpet blast or a radiant reputation. She was only a widow, far from her homeland, following Naomi in quiet faithfulness, gathering the leftover grain in the field of Boaz. No one in that day looked at Ruth and imagined that her life would be placed in the lineage leading to David, and from there pointing toward Christ. But I saw what human beings did not see: a loyal heart, a love that would not give up, and a humility willing to bend down and do small things without resentment. When Ruth said, your people shall be my people, and your God, my God, Ruth 1:16, she did not know that her faithful words were opening a road far beyond her own life. Do you see? Small footsteps in a field that seems nameless can still belong to my great plan. What you do in a lowly place today may be something I am weaving into a legacy you cannot yet see. The harvest does not appear suddenly one day, as though fruit simply falls from the sky with no history behind it. The harvest is formed through many quiet days of sowing, many nights of waiting, and many moments when you continued to obey without any sign to encourage you. A seed does not become a field simply because it dreams of harvest. It must be willing to lie in the soil, to break open, to be watered by tears, and to grow in conditions that human eyes cannot yet see. In the same way, what I am preparing for you does not come by chance, but from an entire process I have been quietly weaving through each faithful choice you have made. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, Luke 16:10. And when I entrust more to you, I do not only listen to what you say about being ready, I look at the evidence written in the days without lights, without an audience, and without an immediate reward. My beloved child, if today you are still walking through a mist, do not accuse yourself of having lost the way. You may not yet see the map, but you are still not outside my guidance. You may not yet understand why you must pass through winding paths, why certain doors have not opened, or why certain promises still seem far away. But I do not lead you in circles in order to exhaust you. I know there are battles that, if you entered them too soon, would wound your heart more deeply than necessary. I know there are heights that, if you climbed them too quickly, would make you dizzy because the foundation within you was not yet steady enough. I know there are responsibilities that, if given before you had been deepened, would become a burden instead of an honor. Therefore, my covering is not rejection, it is mercy guarding your destiny. Do not become bitter toward my slowness, for within that slowness is the precision of love. I hold you back not to make you smaller, but to make you deeper. I hide you not because you are unworthy of being seen, but because what I have placed in you is too precious to be brought forth before its season. The refiner does not remove gold from the fire while impurities are still rising. The potter does not take the vessel from the kiln while the clay is not yet strong enough. The gardener does not pluck the fruit before its flavor has ripened. In the same way, I am not in haste with you, because I love you too much to hand you over to a moment that has not yet been sanctified. The genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, 1 Peter 1:7, is being revealed through the trial, and in that testing, you are not being destroyed. You are being purified so you may shine in the right way. So lift up your head, my child, but do not lift it in pride, lift it in trust. Do not despise the silence, for there I have spoken to you in the most subtle ways. Do not hate the nameless days, for there I have laid the foundation for the identity that belongs to me within you. Do not look with contempt upon the wounds you have passed through, for I can turn them into compassion, into wisdom, into light for others. When the day I have appointed comes, you will look back and understand that no stretch of the road was wasted, no tear was lost, and no act of obedience fell into forgetfulness. I was with you in the secret place. I saw you when no one else saw. I held you when you thought you were merely forcing yourself to keep going, and I will bring you forth at the right time, not like someone forgotten who has suddenly been remembered, but like a soul that has been refined, softened, strengthened, and prepared to carry what I have appointed with humility, peace, and holy glory. My beloved child, understand deeply what I am doing in your life. What is coming is not merely a slight change on the surface, not merely a more convenient door, an easier circumstance, or a new garment placed upon you so that you may feel different for a moment. No, what I am activating within you is far deeper than that. I am not only changing your position, I am touching the foundation within you. I am not only rearranging what surrounds you, I am realigning the way you see yourself, the way you understand your worth, the way you receive the promise, and the way you stand before the very things that once made you tremble. There are seasons when I open the way through gentleness, but there are also seasons when I must shake the old structures that have remained within you for too long, so that what does not belong to me will no longer have the right to disguise itself as your identity. As it is written, "Yet once more I shake not only the earth, but also heaven," Hebrews 12. Arshalu. The shaking that comes from me is not meant to destroy you, but to separate what is temporary from what remains eternal, so that what has been built upon truth may stand firm after the shaking. Perhaps you have felt this in recent days, a strange unrest within your heart, not the kind of anxiety that pulls you into fear, but a holy prompting that makes you unable to keep living beneath what I have called you to enter. You can no longer easily accept the old garments of shame. You no longer feel at peace within the limits that once seemed familiar. You no longer want to make yourself smaller simply to avoid being wounded. This is not meaningless disorder. It is life knocking against old walls. It is my breath touching the places that were once dry. Remember the valley of dry bones in the book of Ezekiel, when the word was spoken, before the living army stood up. There was a noise and a shaking. The bones began to find their proper place again. Sinews and flesh came upon them, and breath returned. Ezekiel 37, 7-10. Do you see? before life appears in fullness. There is a powerful reordering. What was scattered must be gathered. What was paralyzed must be awakened. What has lain still for too long must hear again the voice of the one who created it. Therefore, do not be afraid when something within you begins to move. Do not panic if the old thoughts no longer fit you. If the words of self-condemnation that once ruled you begin to lose their power. If the fears that once controlled you are now being exposed under the light, I am doing a work of rebuilding within you. I will not let you continue living by definitions born from wounds. I will not allow the words of human beings to keep sitting on the throne of your mind as though they were the final truth. There were words that once pierced your heart, rejections that once made you shrink back, failures that once made you think you should live small so you would not hurt again. But I speak to you now. You do not belong to those verdicts. What happened to you may have touched your story, but it does not have the right to rewrite the identity I have placed within you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When I call your name, I do not call you according to your wounds. I call you according to my loving ownership over your life. Remember Gideon, my beloved child. When my angel came to him, he was not standing on the battlefield in the posture of a conqueror. He was threshing wheat in a hidden place, avoiding the enemy, carrying fear and inferiority within his heart. His own mouth even said that his clan was weak, and that he was the least in his father's house. But I did not call him by the trembling he was feeling. I did not call him by the circumstances surrounding him. I did not call him by the small way he had grown used to seeing himself. I said to him, "The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor." Judges 6:12. Do you see? I called him according to what I had placed within him before he had enough courage to believe it. I called the true part of him to rise, not the fearful part that was temporarily covering him. In the same way, when I call you to stand up, I do not deny what you have passed through. I simply no longer allow those things to define you. You may have lived for a long time like someone trying to survive one day at a time, learning to be cautious, learning to protect yourself, learning not to hope too much so you would not be disappointed. I do not condemn you for those mechanisms, because they were once the way you endured painful seasons. But my beloved, what helped you survive in an old season must not become a prison in the new one. I did not create you merely to avoid being hurt. I did not form you merely to move through life in a defensive posture. You were created to carry my presence, to bear my light, and to walk with the authority of one who knows to whom they belong. As it is written, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." Ephesians 2:10. You are not the product of chance, nor are you the sum of the times you were wounded. You are my workmanship, shaped with purpose, called by love, and prepared for the good works already held in my intention. So do not dwell any longer in the old image of yourself. Do not keep seeing yourself through the eyes of those who did not understand what I placed within you. Do not take back the garments I have already removed from you. If you once failed, that failure is not your name. If you were once overlooked, that overlooking is not your worth. If you were once afraid, that fear is not your nature. I am shaking you in order to remove each layer of falsehood that has clung to your soul. Not by condemnation, but by light. When light comes, darkness does not need to be debated. It must retreat. When my word is spoken, dry bones do not need to create life for themselves. They only need to respond to the voice of the one who has authority to give breath. And this is what you must hold firmly. I am not telling you to rise by your own strength, as though you must invent a new person by yourself. I am not placing a foreign identity before you and forcing you to play a role. I am only awakening what has belonged to you from the beginning in my original intention. Your true identity does not begin with your wound. It begins with the word, I have spoken. Your true mission does not arise from your need to prove that you are good enough. It arises from the fact that I have called you mine. Therefore, when your heart feels stirred to come out of smallness, do not be afraid. When the old walls begin to crack, do not run back and repair them with old habits. When I shake, believe that I am setting you free. When I call you to step out, believe that what lies ahead is not only a new circumstance, but a restored person stepping into their rightful place. My beloved child, rise in gentleness, yet with firmness. Let the old definitions fall from your shoulders like a cloak whose season has passed. Let my word become the voice higher than every voice that ever caused you to shrink back. I do not see you as a heap of ashes. I see the fire I can breathe into flame. I do not see you as scattered fragments. I see an army rising to life when my breath enters in. I do not see you as one who has merely survived. I see you as one sent to carry my light, my peace, and my authority into places that are still dark. And when this shaking is complete, you will understand that I never came to shatter you. I came to gather you, raise you up, call you by your true name, and bring you into the life I prepared for you before you even knew how to ask. My beloved child, if in these days you sense a quiet urging rising from the hidden depths, a rhythm of calling you cannot yet name, a restlessness that does not feel like confusion but like your soul, hearing the footsteps of a new season, do not be quick to silence it simply because you fear stepping out of what is familiar. There are movements within that do not come from emotional exhaustion, nor from meaningless instability. They come when I am stirring the waters that have remained still within you for too long, so that you will not continue sleeping in the old place of safety as though it were your final destiny. This is often how I work with those I love. I call before I send. I awaken before I entrust. I shake before I establish. I touch the depths before I widen the road ahead. As it is written, awake, you who sleep. Arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Ephesians 5:14. My light does not come to frighten you, but to call you out of the places where you have stayed too long under the shadow of what is old. Do not mistake that calling for a passing emotion. My beloved, emotion may rise and then settle, but my calling will return in many ways, through the prompting within your heart, through questions that refuse to be silenced, through the inability to remain satisfied with a life beneath what I have appointed. When I called Samuel in the temple during the night, everything around him seemed to be at rest. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, but the older generation had grown dim in its ability to hear. That young boy did not understand at once that the voice was mine. He ran to Eli, thinking the one calling him was human. But my voice did not give up. I called again, and then again, until that young heart learned to answer. Speak, for your servant hears. 1 Samuel 3:10. Do you see? I did not demand that Samuel understand everything from the first moment. I only sought in him a heart willing to listen. In the same way, what I seek in you today is not instant perfection, not a readiness completely free from trembling, but a soul that can say in humility, Lord, here I am, lead me. Therefore, when a gentle but persistent pull appears within you, making you no longer want to live as before, no longer able to tolerate the old garments of shame, no longer at peace when returning to the ways you once limited yourself, recognize that this may be a sign that I am awakening your capacity to respond. My calling is not an alarm bell of disaster. It does not come to threaten you, nor to thrust you into chaos, nor to make you lose direction. It is an invitation into maturity. It calls you out of delay, out of self-pity, out of the habit of seeing yourself through the lens of what has already happened. For when I speak, My word does not merely announce, my word creates. So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void. Isaiah 55:11. If I have called, then within that calling there is already grace for you to move forward, strength for you to rise, and light for you to recognize the path. My child, do not look back at the ashes as though the ashes were your true name. Ashes only say that something has burned through, that a season has ended, that an old place is no longer as it once was. But ashes have no right to prophesy over your future. I am the one who can take the most desolate place and build a new altar there. I am the one who can turn the wounded places within you into a stream of mercy for others. I am the one who can cause the old battlefield to become a living testimony that grace is stronger than brokenness, that life is stronger than loss, and that my purpose is not destroyed by the seasons when you thought you had failed. As it is written, He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Isaiah 61:3. You do not need to build your life upon ruins. I will use those very ruins to reveal the power of my restoration. I know there are chains that do not appear on hands or feet, yet they have bound your mind for many years. There are limits no one else can see, yet you have carried them like silent laws. You must not hope too much. You must not go too far. You must not believe you can become different. You must not expect anything better than what you have grown used to, enduring. There are words spoken by others that became darkness in your thoughts. There are long nights that made you think the darkness was your home. But today I speak to you. Those chains are not stronger than my word. Those definitions are not higher than my intention. Those limits are not more enduring than my covenant over your life. If the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. John 8:36. The freedom I give is not only an outward change, it is an unlocking in the deepest place, so that you no longer live as someone held captive by the past, even after the door has already been opened. So rise, my beloved, but rise with a gentleness refined by grace and with a decisiveness born from truth. Do not rise in bitterness, as though you must prove to the world that you are no longer weak. Do not move forward in pride, as though restoration were a work of your own making. Rise as one who has heard the Father's voice and knows they are being called by love. Lay down the old image of yourself, the image shaped by fear, disappointment, self-blame, and judgments that did not come from me. Let the dust of the past fall from your shoulders. Let my word become louder than the noise of memory. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Isaiah 43:18-19. That new thing is not only ahead of you, it is beginning in the way you hear, the way you believe, the way you stand, and the way you respond to me. And know this, I do not stretch out my hand to force you. I do not drag you across this sacred threshold by compulsion. I am your Father, and I lead you by love. The hand I place before you is an invitation, a covering, and a sign that you do not have to pass through this season of transition by yourself. When you place your hand in mine, you will realize that true awakening is not a flame of emotion that burns brightly and then fades within a few moments. True awakening is when the soul recognizes the voice of the one who called it from the beginning, and then begins to order its life according to that call. It is when you stop living as one who only waits for everything outside to change, and begin living as one who has heard, believed, and started moving from within. Therefore, my child, listen to the light that is touching you. Recognize that glory is not calling you in order to display you, but to reveal me through you. What I hid within you from the beginning did not die in the silent years, did not disappear in the seasons of wounding, and was not buried forever beneath the ashes of former days. It is rising now, according to my call. From this point on, you no longer have to live like someone standing outside their own destiny. You will walk as one who has been awakened, not hurried, but steadfast, not arrogant, but full of authority, not fearful, but tender in my hand. And as you move forward, you will understand that everything I am stirring today is not meant to throw you into confusion, but to bring you into the day already appointed, where the life within you answers the voice of heaven and begins to bloom in its proper season. My beloved child, look at the forest after a long winter, when every path is covered in cold mist, when the branches seem to have forgotten how to bloom, and when the ground has hardened beneath a quiet layer of ice. If you look only with your eyes, you may think that life has departed, that everything has been left bare, dry, and motionless. But I want you to look deeper. Spring does not always arrive with a great noise. It does not tear winter apart in a single moment, nor does it melt all the frost with one breath. First, it comes like a very gentle warmth, like a hidden movement within the earth, like a whisper only the roots can hear. The tree does not blossom immediately, but something within its trunk has begun to awaken. The ground does not become soft all at once, but beneath that cold layer, life has already recognized the sign of a new day. You are the same, my beloved. There are works I begin within you so quietly that even you cannot yet name them. But do not despise that small warmth, for it may be the first sign that the old season is losing its rule over your soul. I know many seasons have passed and left within you thin layers of coldness that you thought you had learned to endure. There are old disappointments that no longer make you cry as they once did, yet still cause you to hesitate when hope appears. There are judgments spoken by others that have settled into memory, yet still quietly make you question your worth. There were prayers once offered through tears, and then prolonged silence taught your heart to protect itself, not daring to expect too much, not daring to rejoice too deeply, not daring to open too widely. You called it caution, but many times, beneath that caution, were places frozen by the fear of being hurt again. I do not condemn you, for I have seen what you have passed through. I know why you pulled back. I know why it is not easy for you to trust joy. I know why even a good door can sometimes make you tremble. But today, I do not come to judge your guardedness. I come to pour my light upon those places until they soften. Understand this rightly. My healing does not always mean erasing every memory from your mind, as though you had never been wounded, never been disappointed, never passed through the night. There are things that may remain in your story, but they are no longer permitted to sit on the throne and govern your present. I do not necessarily remove every trace of the journey from you. I change the authority of those traces. What was once a chain will become a testimony. What was once darkness will become the background against which my light is recognized more clearly. What once made you afraid will become the place where you learn my faithfulness. As it is written, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. John 1:5. Darkness may have been present, but it has no right to prevail over the light. The memory may remain, but it is no longer your master. The wound may once have hurt, but it is no longer your name. Therefore, do not panic if the past sometimes rises within your heart. Freedom does not mean you never remember what has happened. Freedom means what happened no longer commands you. Restoration does not mean you become a person without a history. Restoration means your history is placed beneath my light, reinterpreted by grace, covered with purpose, and no longer allowed to distort your identity. I can take the very place where you were once wounded and place mercy there. I can use the very place where you once feared to build courage. I can turn the very place once covered in shadow into a window through which light enters. Just as Joseph said to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. You too will see that I have the power to change the meaning of what seemed intended only to break you. Remember the blind man at Bethsaida, my beloved child. When they brought him to my son, the healing did not happen in the way everyone might have expected. My son touched his eyes and then asked what he saw. The man answered that he saw people like trees walking. He could see, but not yet clearly. Then my son placed his hands on his eyes again, and only then did he see everything plainly. Mark 8:22-25. There is a deep tenderness in that story. Some healings unfold in layers, not because my power is incomplete, but because I care for you in a way your soul can receive. I am not in haste with the sensitive places within you. I am not rough with what has been wounded. I touch, and then I touch again. I open, and then I bring clarity. I warm, and then I soften. I lead you from dimness into full light. Do not despise the stage where you are better, but not yet seeing everything clearly. For even that step is a sign that my hand is at work. And when that softening begins to take place, you will realize that your spiritual breath has become deeper, not because every circumstance immediately becomes easier, not because everyone around you suddenly changes, not because every door opens at once before your eyes, but because within you there is now a new space for my life to move. The things that once threw you into panic will no longer be able to pull you down into the depths as easily as before. The shadows that once grew exaggerated in your mind will gradually be seen for what they truly are, only shadows. No longer ruling powers. The old threats will lose their volume. The fears that once filled the whole room of your soul will begin to shrink as truth grows larger. This is one of the ways I break the power of fear. I do not always remove every outward cause at once, but I build within you a peace stronger than that cause. As it is written, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. When that spirit becomes alive within you, you are no longer so overwhelmed by what is outside that you forget the one who dwells within. My beloved child, I change the proportion of all things by my presence. When you look through the lens of fear, even the shadow of a tree can appear like a mountain. But when you stand in my truth, what once seemed enormous begins to become smaller, not because it was never frightening to you, but because it is no longer allowed to become greater than me within your heart. Fear shrinks when you stop agreeing with its lies. Darkness retreats when you no longer feed it with wounded imagination. The wound loses its throne when I place upon it a new word. You no longer have to say, I am someone who has been wounded. You can say, I am one who has been preserved, healed, raised up, and touched by the light. You no longer have to live like someone always guarding against the return of winter. You can live as one who has recognized the warmth of spring moving through every deep layer of the heart. Therefore, be patient with your resurrection. Do not demand blossoms when the roots have only just begun to drink again. Do not conclude that nothing has changed simply because the ice has not yet melted from every branch. Pay attention to the small signs of what I am doing. A moment when you remain calmer before something that once unsettled you. A moment when you dare to hope even though you once only wanted to protect yourself. A moment when you hear an old memory speak but no longer follow it. A moment when you choose prayer instead of withdrawing. A moment when you feel your heart soften again toward joy. These things are not small in my eyes. They are the stream flowing beneath the old soil. They are life returning. They are light, gradually overcoming darkness in a quiet but certain way. So let me continue melting the frozen layers within you by my love. Do not rush to force yourself to become strong in a hardened way. The strength I give does not make you unfeeling. It makes you safe enough to remain tender. The peace I place within you is not a denial of pain. It is the power to stand firm in the very place that once made you tremble. The light I shine upon you does not deny that the night was once real. It simply declares that the night is no longer king, and from this point forward, the past will no longer guide you as it once did. You will walk as one warmed from within, like a forest after winter, quietly preparing to bloom. Like ground that was once frozen hard, now beginning to soften beneath the breath of heaven. I am making you new, not with a brief flash that quickly fades, but with my enduring, joy, and deep life. Trust me, my beloved, the springtime of your soul has begun, and my light will not stop until what was once frozen within you has been touched, released, and called back into life. My beloved child, there are times when you feel your heart grow heavy and immediately think you must have taken the wrong path. There are sudden pressures that rise within your mind and make you think everything is becoming disordered, as though the peace you once had has been taken away, as though the movements within you are only signs of instability. But I want you to pause in stillness and see with different eyes. Not every pressure comes to break you. Not every shaking is a warning that you have drifted from my will. There are holy seasons when the very thing that makes you feel stretched is evidence that you are leaving the old shore and entering a deeper current. My peace is not always a perfectly still surface. Often, true peace is the ability to stand firm when the waters begin to move. As it is written, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. Isaiah 43:2. I did not promise that you would never meet strong waters. I promised that those waters would have no power to swallow you when I am with you. Picture a boat that has grown accustomed to being anchored in calm waters, where the wind is gentle, the waves are low, and everything seems easy to control. When it begins to be led away from the harbor into a deeper current, the body of the boat will tremble more. The sails will tighten. The helm will require greater attention, and the one steering will no longer be able to drift carelessly as when the boat was still. But that trembling does not prove the boat is moving in the wrong direction. On the contrary, it is a sign that it has left the narrow place and entered the waters it was created to cross. You are the same. My beloved, there are movements in your life that cannot be measured by comfort. There are advances of the soul that do not feel like a gentle walk, but like a voyage into open waters, where faith must become deeper than familiarity. Obedience must become stronger than the need for control, and trust in me must become greater than every outward sign. When my son said to Simon Peter, "Launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch," Luke 5:4. That word was not spoken after an easy night of success. It was spoken after a night in which they had labored and caught nothing. Their hands were tired, their hearts were disappointed, and their experience told them there was nothing left to expect. Yet precisely in that moment, I called them deeper, not because the deep waters were more comfortable, but because the deep waters are where obedience meets power. Peter could have leaned on his experience as a fisherman and refused, but he answered, "Nevertheless, at your word I will let down the net." Luke 5:5. Do you see? The miracle does not come only to the one who feels strong emotion. It comes to the one who dares to place my word above weariness, above old conclusions, above nights that seemed like failure. And when the net was lowered, what had been hidden in the deep began to be drawn up. Therefore, if today you feel yourself being pulled out of what is familiar, do not immediately call it chaos. It may be that I am leading you into waters where old skills are no longer enough, so that you may learn to lean on me more truly. It may be that the pressures you feel are not there to prove that you are weak, but to reveal where you need to be strengthened. It may be that the heaviness you thought was a sign of going backward is actually the place where I am deepening the feet of your faith. so that you no longer live by the false stability of the old harbor. You once prayed for enlargement, but enlargement always requires you to leave what has become too small for what I have placed within you. A boat was not built merely to decorate the shore. It was built to endure waves, cross currents, carry weight, travel far, and return with evidence that it has reached the deep. I know there are winds that confuse you. I know there are days when you feel both the longing to move forward and the fear that wants to turn back. But my beloved, that does not mean your faith is false. It only shows that you are truly standing at a boundary. Before every step into greater depth, the old self within you will try to negotiate in order to remain in the familiar place. It will tell you that the old shore is safer, that the deep waves are too dangerous, that you are not ready enough, and that it is better to keep everything small. But I speak to you, do not let familiarity disguise itself as wisdom. Do not call fear caution if I am calling you to move forward. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Faith does not deny the waves, but faith knows the one who stands above them. Remember Joshua when he stood before the Jordan River with the people. The promised land was ahead, but between them and the promise was flowing water. I did not tell them to wait until everything became completely easy before stepping forward. I commanded the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant to go ahead, and when their feet touched the edge of the water stopped. Joshua 3:13-17. Do you see? There are openings that appear only after the first step of obedience. If they had remained forever on the bank demanding proof beforehand, they would never have experienced the river parting. In the same way, you may be waiting for every feeling to become stable before you move forward. But I am teaching you that sometimes true stability is found in the very act of placing your foot in the water according to my word. Therefore, learn to distinguish between destructive pressure and growth pressure. Destructive pressure pulls you away from me, darkens your heart, drives you into despair, isolates you, and causes you to lose hold of the truth. But growth pressure, though uncomfortable, will press you into deeper prayer, sharper listening, the surrender of false supports, and a truer clinging to me than shallow waters ever required of you. If the pressure causes you to seek me more, if the shaking makes you more awake, if the deep current causes you to leave self-sufficiency and begin to trust, then do not despise the work I am doing through it. The testing of your faith produces patience, James 1:3. And that patience is not empty endurance. It is holy resilience being formed in one who knows they are being led by me. My beloved child, the deep waters are not where I abandon you. They are where you learn to know me in a way the old shore could never teach you. On the old shore, you may believe in me with words. In the deep current, you learn to trust me with every breath. On the old shore, you may love me in comfort. In the deep current, you learn to love me when everything requires true surrender. On the old shore, you may speak about power. In the deep current, you begin to see power holding up the body of your boat amid forces you cannot control. I do not call you into deep waters to make you sink, but so that you may discover that my grace is deeper than the bottom of every fear. So if your heart is trembling in this season, do not be quick to condemn yourself. Place your hand upon your chest. Slow your breathing in my presence and say, Father, if this is the deep current you are calling me to enter, teach me to steer by faith. I will not let you be swept away by what I have called you to cross. I will teach you how to adjust the sails. Keep your eyes from being ruled by the waves, and listen for my voice in the wind. You are not lost simply because the force feels stronger. Perhaps you are drawing nearer to the true current of your destiny. Perhaps this shaking is evidence that the old shore has released you. Perhaps today's pressure is a sign that your soul is being drawn into the depth I prepared long ago. Launch out, my beloved, not because the deep waters are easier, but because I am there with you, and where I am present, even the strongest currents will become a path leading you into the fullness I have appointed.